Hey, fight fans, welcome back to Carlo Prusa MMA. Today we have a treat for you. My guest today is an LFA fighter. He is 8-2, and he is about to make his debut on the Dana White Contender Series. He's traveling to Vegas here very soon. He's fighting against Vadym Kutsyi on Tuesday. He is Mr. Daniel Frunza. Daniel, how are you doing, my friend?
Good, I'm good, brother. How are you? How are
You
you?
know, I'm doing great, man. You're a guy that I've watched in LFA. I've always been very impressed with. You're a fun fighter. The striking is just so amazing. The ground game's amazing. You're a very complete mixed martial artist. At what point in your career did you really start thinking, if I wanted to chase the big shows, if I want to chase the UFC, that I need to be well-rounded and versed everywhere?
Actually, it's funny. I once I came to Miami like 2 years ago. My goal was just to make it to the U.S. with the MMA, and once I made it here, I was like, I'm here, But I had like a change of mind. I said I didn't make it this far just to make it this far. You know what I'm saying? So I said I took the decision to see how far can I get into this MMA thing, and I start fighting here in the U.S. and winning, and I saw that I can compete with the high level guys at the highest level, and yeah, that's when I decided to push as far as possible, and soon enough the chance to fight for the UFC just came to me.
You can do so many things in this world. You chose to go down the road of combat sports. How did you start getting into this crazy lifestyle?
Well, listen, it's a crazy story. I did actually a few podcasts. If the people watching this are interested to go look. I was a kid. I'm coming from Romania. I was born in a little village, like I don't know, 600-700 people, like a very small village in the middle of nowhere. And I was watching TV when I was a child. I was like about 9 or 10 years old, and I was seeing the big shows, the American shows like the WWE and the boxing and all those big shows in Vegas or New York, and that just captured my mind, captured my imagination, and I'm like, what the hell I'm doing in this little village with nothing happening around me, I'm like, I want to be there one day, and once I grew up, around 18, 19 years old, when I finished high school, I took the decision to come to the US. And my only, let's say, way to do it the way I envisioned when I was a child was through fighting. So that's why I choose MMA.
What was the scene like in Romania looking for fights, when you were younger and you were first starting out your career?
I was a kid, so as a country, we're pretty big into boxing, kickboxing. We have many world champions in boxing and kickboxing, and also other Olympic disciplines. But I came from like almost no. I'm not. I don't come from a rich family, so we don't. I come from a village, from nowhere. Like I don't come from some city or whatever. So my parents didn't have the possibility to throw me to in some program, to learn how to fight or to learn some Olympic discipline. So to me, it's just at that time, to me, it was almost impossible to think to do something like this in my country. When at 14 we moved to Italy. Italy, it's different, more modern as a society, more possibilities, and that's when came back to my mind that, hey, from here, like I can move like faster towards what I want to do. So yeah, if I would have never left Romania, I would have never start fighting probably.
There's actually, I've been talking recently to another fighter that I've become a friend with, a guy from Romania as well, then moved to Austria, and then
Yeah,
recently won
fought
on
like
the Contender, Mr. Bogdan.
yeah, he fought like 2 weeks ago. He had a tough opponent. He did a hell of a fight. I'm very happy for him. He earned that contract, and I'll be next after him.
What's the ultimate goal for you when you first started this? Is the UFC, has that always been the goal?
Oh, the UFC goal came into my mind for real, like 2 years ago when I came here to the US, and because my goal was never to go to the UFC. My goal was just to make it to the US, maybe fight here, to experience that thing that I saw when I was a child, the big crowd and the all that big show, and I fought my first opponent in Atlanta, Georgia, in a really big venue. It was a beautiful show, and I won. And my opponent was really good. He came from ATT, and I won. And everyone was cheering. The everything was beautiful. And I was like, man, if I can fight with these top guys from these top teams, I think I could make it to the UFC, and that's when I decided that I didn't make it so far just to make it so far. I'll go as far as humanly possible, and if that means stop with the Contender Series, then I'll stop with the Contender Series. It's if I win the contract, and when I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna go straight all the way to the top, and to challenge whoever's gonna be the champion for that belt. That's what I want to do. I want to see how far can I go, and if the belt is as far as I can go, then that's where I'm gonna go.
You really made some noise in the American scene, at least when you debuted in LFA. You've had two great performances there, and I got to talk about the first one, that fight over Jalen Fuller. I mean, that knockout was absolutely devastating, my friend. Can you walk me through that finishing sequence before you start laying the shots? What were you seeing?
Well, to be honest, if you watch that fight in first 10 or 15 seconds, he's a southpaw. He's a big, long southpaw. And I want to throw an inside calf kick, which was the most stupid idea that I've ever had, to throw an inside calf kick on a southpaw. I just basically kick in his check. And in like within a second, I felt my foot that start to like a huge like hematoma on my foot. And I freaked the hell out, like heavy. And I knew if I don't finish this guy in the first round, like I'm not gonna get up from the stool. Like the pain and the hematoma got so big that I was not able to step on it. So I just put my foot on the gas, and I'm like, I'm gonna just finish him right here, right now. And I did. Like I saw him too relaxed, and I felt like he kind of underestimated me, because I was no one. I was coming out of nowhere. I was just a super crazy underdog. He just fought for the belt. He was the next guy to go to the UFC, and he lost in his last fight before me for the belt. So they just throw somebody at him to just win and just move forward. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody saw me coming, and because of that, that was my chance. That was my goal. Like this is the guy to beat, and I just went crazy. Not crazy on him, but I wanted to show that I belong. So I keep my composure and put him away. That was my idea. I need to put this guy away. It's not going to be a decision. It's not going to be nothing. I need to knock him out. I need to make a statement. So that's what I did.
And now your last time out, your last fight, LFA, another great performance against Harris Talenzik. You were able to get it literally buzzer beater. Ended it with like a second or two left in that third round. Walk me through that
And
stoppage.
that fight was insane because it was at high elevation. So it's so hard to breathe in Vail. Like I'm not even saying competing, like really fighting at the highest level, but just walking around it's heavy to breathe. So and he played smart. He never wanted to engage more than it was necessary with me. He never stood in front of me, for me to put hands on him. He was very smart. He shot for the takedown, but he did nothing. I didn't. I felt like I did pretty well against such a great wrestler as Harris. And yeah, I was just looking for something. Again, I saw during the fight, I reached for his hands, and he just let me grab him with my hands. I grabbed him, and I was just looking at him. I'm like, that's no way he just let me do that. And then I do it again. I did it again, and then I did one more time. And in the beginning of the third round, when we were in that minute break, my coach told me, "Hey, there's an elbow there. Whenever you like, don't force it because he's gonna see it. Just whatever happens, you have it there. If you are close enough, go for the elbow. And each time when he was throwing that left, he was leading with his head. So I'm like, at least if I don't knock him out, I'll cut him. So my luck, or I don't know, the fate made that, I found that elbow with less than 10 seconds at the end and just finish him with 1 second remaining in the fight. That was, I think that was for sure the greatest win, or at least the most impressive, because it was so close to the end and I just find something. It's a personal satisfaction. That was, and for my coach, because he's a Muay Thai fighter, he was very happy that I just finished him with an elbow. He was very happy.
Now, following that contest, do you have a good idea that was enough to make them the Contender?
I thought that I was going to make it either straight in the UFC with a short notice fight after Jalen. Like when you just show up and be the number one guy in the country in less than 3 minutes. Like what else? Like that's the like you can't show more than that. But everyone thought it was a fluke. Everyone thought that I just came out of nowhere and just, somehow, made it happen. So that's why for the second fight, LFA gave me a main event. So put me in the big spotlight against a wrestler, So it's like, okay, you know how to strike. Let's see how what you're gonna do against a very good wrestler and grappler. And they just gave me Harris, and I think I did, and I showed more than enough in that fight also. Despite the fact that I finished him, I think I showed more than enough to the UFC that I am at that level. I'm good enough to be in the UFC and be competitive on the world stage.
You remember where you were at when you got the phone call that you're going to be on the Contender?
Yes, I remember perfectly. I received my the how you say it, the envelope with
Contract?
with my 5 years approval with the P1 with the visa. I was at the gym, so I call my manager and I'm like, listen, man, I have the visa. I'm like green light. I can fight. Call Sean. Tell him I'm ready whenever he needs me. I'm available. I'm training. I'm fit. Even short notice, no problem. That was a Monday or a Tuesday. I don't know exactly. I think it was a Monday. By Thursday, I knew that I was going to fight September 17th in Vegas, Contender Series against Matt Dixon, but he pulled out, I think, due to some injury or something. I didn't understand well what was around that situation. Anyway, then they moved my date to September 24th, a week later. And the situation was very uncertain because I didn't know who I was fighting until 2-3 weeks ago. I found out who my opponent was. So yeah, but I knew that I was going to fight for the Contender in June, and I was at the gym. I was training actually when I did the envelope.
All fighters now, to make it to the UFC, the sport has changed so much. There's no more of this where, you fight, you're on the couch 2 days, 2 months getting fat. No, you got to fight year round. You got to train year round. You have to literally train 5-6 days out of the week because that's your only chance of being a professional fighter. The talent has evolved way too much. With you doing that, does that make it a little easier to accept guys on short notice?
That's why my kind of confidence comes from. That's why I'm saying I'm gonna make it all the way to that belt if it's possible, because I know that even if you have a part-time job or you have a kid to raise as a fighter or some business on the side or something, if you dedicate more than a few hours a day, whatever outside the training, then I'm ahead of you, because all I do is training. I'm in the gym from 6:30 in the morning until 9:30, 10, maybe sometimes 11 at night. And all I do is 2 sessions a day, sometimes 3, depends how I feel. But even when I don't have a fight, so let's say I don't want to push, I don't want to get injured, I just want to stay sharp, I just want to, work on some specific things, I'm still going to train. Once in the morning, I'm going to do weights. And one time in the afternoon, I'll do, I don't know, grappling, or I'll do striking, or I'll do something, So I'll still train twice a day, not hard. I still train twice a day. So I dedicate my whole life, my whole day, my everything to this. So if you don't do that, I'll be ahead of you. Like by the time we're gonna fight, you're already like in disadvantage against me. You're already in disadvantage against me. Like even in my last fight, everyone was like, "Man, you're gonna fight a wrestler. You're gonna fight at high elevation. He lives at high elevation. He trains at high elevation. He basically lives his entire life at high elevation. It's impossible for you to make it like high pace with him for 3 rounds." I'm like, watch. I cut my I had a cut in training 2 weeks before the fight, so I was not able to spar, grapple, do nothing, not even lifting weights. So basically, in that camp, the last 2 weeks, all I did was basically running. That's all I did, and still went up there and outpace a guy that basically lives there. And me coming from level zero from Miami. Miami, it's level zero. Like there's no high elevation in Miami, you know, and still outpace him. That's why I'm saying, like, if you have something on the side that you dedicate time to, it doesn't matter the condition. If we fight equal condition, I am going to win. Either by decision, I overwhelm you, or I'm gonna find a way to knock you out. Like that's what I'm working to do each time. Each time I train, I train specifically to finish fights. So I'm gonna find a way, and yeah, like if it's not the first, it's not the second, it's not the third, I still find a way. And if you somehow survive, I'll still win by decision. Like it's no way you beat me in 3 rounds with pace. No way.
So many people watch the sport in this day and age. I mean, this sport is so mainstream now. And I feel like, you have those casual fans. They see the McGregors, they see the Usmans, the Pereiras, the Joneses, and they're like, oh, wow, what a great life. What a great life it is to be a fighter. These guys are bigger than life. Little do they know what happens in the regional scene. I'm convinced from talking to you fighters, battling it out on the regional scene to get to the biggest shows might be one of the most difficult things ever. First off, you guys aren't making millions of dollars fighting on the regional scene, as you can attest. A lot of guys have to do 9 to 5 jobs just to afford the training camp. Some have wives, some have kids. Then they have to dedicate hours a day to get punched in the face, deal with a bunch of other guys that are trying to get to where they want to go as well. You've probably had to deal through a lot of that. What's kept you motivated? What's kept you keep pushing and pushing?
So first of all, like the way you said it, many guys dedicate time to other things, which make them not commit in the training 100%, make them not be all there 100%. So by the time they're going to fight, they're not going to be all there. It's impossible. And God forbid you fight a guy like me, like it's not going to be a good night for you at all. And as you said, as in the regional scene, it's a meat grinder. Like everyone tried to kill everyone to make it to that next level. And there you need to go even crazier, because there it's a real meat grinder. And if you're not ready for that international scene, you're gonna get hurt, because those guys they fight for real money. You're gonna fight also for real money. But yeah, that's even, it's even more dangerous, so because I take this sport really serious, to me, I decide to dedicate every single second of my day to this, so yeah. Now it's like people don't understand the behind the scene. People see the smoke, the fame, the glory. There's to have that glory, that little taste of glory. It's you need to, oh my goodness, the level of sacrificing, it's beyond bearable for many people. It's beyond. That's why very few make it to the top to really put their name in stone. Very few, because the sacrifice, it's beyond bearable. Like you have to really sacrifice everything just with the possibility to make it, just to have the possibility, just to have that chance, you know to make it. Not even saying to make it, like to have the chance to make it. So it's extremely hard, and the fans, they see only those 15 minutes. They see the fight, they see the interview, they see the lights, and obviously those are the fans. Those are the people who pay the bills. We need to put the work behind the scenes so we can give the fans a good show, so they can keep following us and supporting us. That's it. That's the truth. Like the truth behind the scene, it's ruthless. This is a ruthless game. The fighting game, it's beyond scary and ruthless. The fight game doesn't care about you, doesn't wait for you. It's the machine moves forward. So you either keep the pace with it, or you're just gonna stay behind and bye bye.
In this day and age, we have a lot of new people watching the sport, and there's pros and cons to it. One, there's a lot more eyeballs, so MMA is getting a lot more exposure. Two, you have what are called the casual fan. So for me personally, I can't watch a UFC pay-per-view at a restaurant. I can't watch it in the nosebleeds because I'm around a bunch of people who, one, are drunk, two, are talking all craziness. You watch two guys doing jiu-jitsu exchanges, you hear twist them in the what and like all this stuff. They're humping each other and blah, 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 blah. What do you make of this?
Well, listen, I can't say nothing. Like, what can you say? Like, I would say, bro, go educate yourself. Go learn some jujitsu. Go understand striking. Go understand fighting. Because fighting is not just going at it. I think people have a really bad idea of how fighting is. I think when the UFC blew up, remember the fight between Stephen Bonner and Forrest Griffin.
Oh.
Like, they just went at it. There was no jujitsu. There was no nothing. They just went crazy. So I think the casual fan is stuck with that. Like, two guys staying on the feet and just bang. Listen, that's not always the case. Like, you're gonna have two high level grapplers, or you're gonna have a very good grappler and a very good striker. Last week, like, you have Merab and you have Sean. Like, Rob was his day, and he imposed his wrestling, and it was beautiful. I think that was an extremely entertaining fight, and many people in the gym the day after, actually on Monday, they asked me, "What do you think about the fight?" And I was like, "To me, that was a beautiful fight. It was like, what can I say? It was beautiful." And they're like, "No, man, it was boring. It was this, it was that." And I just tried to look at them and like, what should I do? Convince them that like it was not true. Like, I can't say nothing. It's for him was bad. I'm like, well, I don't know what can I say. As soon as people pay, to boo you or pay to cheer you, just as a fighter, you should make sure you get paid both times. That's what I always say.
All right, so
So I
shifting over, or go on, Fisher's
boo
thought.
people that boo me or cheer me. I just say, sit tight, have a beer, have a blast, boo me, cheer me, don't blink, because I'm gonna finish quick. Like, I'm gonna finish quick, and I'll be out of there quick. And just enjoy, man. Just, if you are there, just enjoy. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right, so shifting gears a little bit, you're taking on Vadym Kutsyi on Tuesday. Overall, what do you think of him as an opponent?
Very good, man. Very good. I had my original opponent, Matt Dixon. Again, very good guy. I think 11-1 or 10-1. Good wrestler. It was a good fight for me. It was for sure a way better matchup, because he was only a good wrestler with not such a good hands, and I have a really anti-wrestler game, and I have very good hand. Like, my striking is way better than his, so I was very happy with my first opponent. Now I have this new opponent, which is way more well-rounded. He's good on the ground, he's good on the feet, and but he's not great at nothing. Like, he's well-rounded, but I saw 4 or 5 of his fights. He fights very similar. He doesn't want to engage too much. He tried to pick you apart from the outside. He if when only when he's in danger, he uses wrestling. So yeah, it's way more dangerous. 17-1, like, you don't get to 17-1 just by chance, just by accident. And yeah, I think it's way stronger than my previous opponent. But hey, listen to me. I don't care. I don't care. If that's what it takes to make it to the UFC, then I'll happily do it. Like, give me 30-0 or 30-1. I don't care. put it in front of me, make sure he makes weight, and I'll see him the next day. I do not care at all. And I think that there's some tricky things with him, with my opponent. His last fight was like 2.5 years ago. I don't know what happened. Like, he had injuries. Uh, did he want to retire? He's 33 years of age. He's a little bit older than me. Uh, what's the deal? Was he injured? Did he really train in these 2 years? I don't know. But he also accepted the fight against me, and I'm really happy with the opponent that UFC gave me, and I'm ready to go. I would have taken a guy like this with a week notice. I don't care. I do not care because I train 24/7. So as a fighter, until I'm not retired, is my job is to fight. So that's what I'm gonna do. As soon as I get paid, as long as I get paid, I'm happy. And I'm looking forward to get paid.
What would it mean for you to be able to earn a contract to fight in the UFC?
First of all, it would be huge. As a national level, as for my country, would be huge. There are already 4 guys already in the UFC. I would be the fifth. But I said it. I'll be the one that will make it the third. And I wanna secure my name as the greatest MMA fighter from my country. 100%. That's my biggest goal. And Tuesday night is the first step towards that goal, and that's it. Having that contract would just start a beautiful journey for me. That's it.
You mentioned a little earlier one of the goals was to move to the United States.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're living the American dream right now?
I never knew what's the American dream. Like what's the American dream exactly? I don't know what that is.
So basically, the American dream is a philosophy where, you strive every day to live a life that you want, to achieve your dreams, to do what you have to achieve your dreams and support your family.
Then yes, I am living the American dream in a certain way, because I do what I want to do. I do what I love. I'm getting paid for, and I try to build a beautiful life for myself and my family through hard work and sacrifice. So if that's the American dream, then yes, I'm living the American dream. I can say that, yeah. Yeah, I can say that.
Have you thought ahead when you do, or if you do make it into the UFC? Bogdangrad, he's went on record and he said, I'm going to have the Romanian flag, but I'm also going to have the Austrian flag because my career took off in Austria. Are you going to do a double flag potentially of Romania and Italy?
No. I was born in Romania. I am proud to represent my country. I'm extremely grateful to each country that hosts me. Let's say this. I'm extremely grateful for the Italian culture. I lived in South America also for a few years, so I'm extremely grateful for each country that hosts me. I'm obviously more than happy to live here in the United States, and I'm extremely grateful to the United States of America, obviously. But inside that cage, it's my country that matters the most. That's it. I'm sorry for the other country. I respect them a lot. I there's a place in my heart for each one of those countries. But yeah, my country first. That's it.
All right, David, Daniel, last question for you, my friend. In a perfect world, what is the outcome when you take on Vadym Kutsyi Tuesday night on the Dana White Contender Series?
Second round KO. That's my prediction. If you ask me for a prediction, that's my prediction. It's going to be a second round KO unless he doesn't do something stupid. I saw him being like very mature fighter, very aware. He knows how to read situation. He doesn't put himself in danger more than it's necessary. So it's going to be a tricky fight. My prediction is going to be a second round KO because he took this fight. Obviously, he's a hell of a warrior. He's a extremely seasoned fighter. He's a veteran, we can say, and he's very very smart. His fighting IQ, it's quite impressive. To make it to 17-0, it's not a easy task. So I think the 2 years layoff and cutting weight, coming, having to fly 18 hours from Russia to Vegas, or from Belarus to Vegas, and with only 3 days to get used to while cutting weight, I think it's gonna be a little bit too much for him. That's my prediction. Obviously, I'm not stupid. I'm not gonna just jump into the fight like blindfolded. I'm not gonna just go there and just start throwing punches. It's too dangerous. So I'm gonna take my time, pick my shots, and I think in the second round he'll try to give me his best shots in the first, and I think somewhere in the second I'm gonna find a space for the right hand or for the left hook or for something. I'll catch him with something, and I think I'll put him away. That's my prediction. Second round KO.
Well, Daniel, man, I can't wait to watch your fight. I'm so excited to see you get this opportunity, man. I really think that you deserve it, and I think a lot of us are expecting you to put on quite the performance.
I appreciate you. Thank you very much. I hope the public will enjoy my fight. Tune in on UFC Fight Pass and on ESPN, and yeah, just sit tight and do not blink, because this fight can end like this quick, and then you miss it, and then what? Then you need to wait for the next fight.
That's it. Just like that, we're done with the interview, but we'll be back again. That's Mr. Daniel Frunza. I'm Carlo Frunza. Stick around, fans.
See you in a few days, guys. Have a nice night. Hope everyone enjoyed this interview, and see you in a few days.
Later, guys.
Right. Let's go.